Dude, I can't believe that Adrian... No way. Not cool and collected Adrian Andrews. She is your manager. Would have been very easy for her to pull this off. The only person who had easy access to the knife you used at dinner was... well, her. So after the ceremony during the break, huh? I was sleeping like a log the entire time. See, she could have also easily planted the blood-covered button in your hat, man. Because she was the one that came to wake me up. Then, dude, are you saying it really was her? Yes, she's the real killer. She's the one who murdered Hong Corina. But why? I thought she was buds with Juan. She has her own agenda. Her own agenda? What are you talking about? I thought I knew her agenda. I'm sure you're... Sorry, that was stupid. I'm sure you'll see by the time this trial's over. It'll be alright. I'll get you acquitted by the end of the day. Get me a verdict that's refreshing like a spring breeze, okay, Mr. Lawyer Dude? Phoenix, you think her motive is related to Celeste Impact's missing suicide note, right? Yes. Ms. Andrews depend on Ms. Impacts as her strength and reason to live. But then Ms. Impact suddenly killed herself. It sounds like she left a suicide note and the person thought to have hidden it is Juan Corrida, the victim of the murderer. And this is why I think Ms. Andrews got close to Mr. Corrida, all to get that suicide note back. Sounds plausible, but one thing bothers me. What? Who was it that first told us about their relationship? Better stated, Miss Andrews' dependency issues in regards to Miss Impacts. It was Edgeworth. It looks like he's still in the one in command of this ship. Don't let your guard down yet.
Court will now reconvene. Now then, Mr. Edgeworth, if you please. The prosecution calls the witness subpoenaed by this court. Miss Adrian Andrews, the person who discovered the crime in Mr. Juan Corrida's room. What is your occupation?
I'm the manager of the defendant in this case, Mr. Matt Ongard.
I see. Now then.
Before we begin, Your Honor, I have one request.
Sure. What is it?
I'm sure everyone in the room is wondering the same thing, and I'd love to find out more about my relationship with the victim. After all, it was the topic of a certain weekly magazine recently.
No, I have no idea what you mean. I've never even heard of Gossipland.
If the judge was ever a prosecution witness, he'd do all my work for me.
Anyway, I was wondering if you could please tell us about your relation to the victim.
Yes, I was seeing Mr. Corrida. I was also aware of a rivalry that existed between Matt and Juan. But this is a private matter between Juan and myself.
So it was a fry and bait matter? Or is that bait and fry? Reminds me of fishing.
I think it's bait and switch, Judge. But I didn't kill him.
No one is accusing you of that.
I think there's someone who would beg to differ.
I think we all understand your relationship with the victim now, Miss Andrews. Very well then. Witness, please testify to the court about what happened when you discovered the murder had taken place.
It was time for the show to start, so I went to get Matt from his room. After that, I went to Juan's room, and there was his dead body. I was in shock. What I saw was naturally the same scene in the crime photo. I felt as though I was about to faint, so I poured myself a glass of juice.
You poured yourself a glass of juice?
Yes. Sadly, I didn't remember not to touch things at the scene of a crime, and I disturbed the crime scene by moving this one thing.
And that's when the fingerprints on the wine glass were made, Your Honour. I see. Well, Mr. Wright, you may cross-examine the witness.
Phoenix. She's one cool and collected customer, and she has the brains to match. Yes, I know.
In order to catch a person like her, you have to avoid head-on confrontations. You should disrupt her pacing.
Disrupt her pacing?
She's the type of woman who is easily thrown off by things inconsistent with her thinking. So you have to attack when she least expects it. The instant you let up on your offence is the instant the trial is over. Understand?
And what was Mr. Engarde doing at the time?
He was taking a nap. He was worn out from his many performances as the Nickel Samurai during the ceremony.
Mr. Engarde did say he was taking a nap. I guess you could say he could not have been taken out of his room, yes?
Excuse me? It? What have you...
Right, I thought years of school would have taught you how to construct a sentence. If you can't make a sensible sentence with a subject, then I'll make you one for you. Watch. Did you, Miss Andrews, remove Mr. Engarde's knife from his room?
No.
Subject, verb, object, right. Did you skip basic grammar? The witness may continue.
Damn. And why did you do that?
As a friendly gesture, Juan was able to make an appearance with the other heroes.
So the show was supposed to be a show of friendship, huh? Is that the only reason?
I beg your pardon, what are you implying?
You had a certain goal in mind when you started to get close to him, correct? So perhaps you had a more personal matter to discuss with the victim.
Sorry, but I don't have any such intentions in mind at that time.
I can't get you to talk about a strong piece of evidence, I guess.
May we continue now? Witness, what did you see when you got to his room?
You were in shock.
What? Was I not supposed to be?
Miss Andrews was a very calculating person, and despite how close they were, I doubt she had romantic feelings for Mr. Carina.
Anyone randomly stumbling upon a dead body would be in shock. You can't seriously expect a young beauty like her would not be shocked.
Somehow I don't think beauty has anything to do with being shocked or not.
I see.
This is the photo you're referring to, correct?
Yes, the one with the knife lodged in his chest.
And the guitar case was like this too?
Yes, open and empty, of course.
And then what did you do next, witness?
Juice?
Yes, there was a bottle of tomato juice on the table, so I helped myself.
But you didn't drink any of it, did you?
Huh?
There were no lip marks left on this wine glass to suggest anyone drank from it.
I wasn't feeling terribly great, so I set the glass down without drinking it.
Miss Andrews, I'd like to confirm with you one more time. When you discovered the dead body of Juan Corrida, you were in great shock. And that's when you poured yourself the glass of juice, correct?
And what of it? My mind really was a complete blank at the time.
Your mind was a complete blank. I didn't think that was possible for you.
Aren't you rude today? I was so dazed I made one careless mistake. That one thing.
What one thing?
Never mind. It's no big deal.
What was she starting to say just now? Ms. Andrews, I'm convinced that, as you said, you made a mistake at the scene of the crime. What I really want to know is what this mistake was.
Actually, so would I.
I'm sorry. It's kind of embarrassing. When I set the glass down on the dresser, I accidentally knocked the flower vase over.
Nice trousers.
Flower vase? Are you talking about the one on the floor in the crime scene photo? The mess of glass shards?
It was originally on top of the dresser. When I bumped it with my elbow, it fell on the guitar case.
Why did you withhold such an important piece of information?
She's lying. If it fell on the guitar case, and the guitar case was found as she said, the wetness would be on the inside.
I'm sorry. I thought since the crime scene was already in disarray, people would simply assume the vase was just another part of the mess.
Looks like yet another fact has come to light here. Please add this and anything else you have to reveal to your testimony.
I'm sorry, but I have nothing more to add. I didn't touch anything else.
You testify that you knocked the flower vase over. Is this correct?
Yes.
And are you sure it fell onto the guitar case?
Is there some problem with what I said?
It's not some problem, it's a major problem. It's true the top of the guitar case is wet with water. However, that's exactly what's so strange. Ms. Andrews, you testified that the vase fell onto the guitar case. However, if that were true, the case would have gotten wet on the inside, not the outside.
That's very true!
Furthermore, there is one other strange thing about this guitar case.
Ooh, what's that?
Let's take another look at the crime scene photo. The remains of the vase are scattered on the floor.
And what's wrong with that?
If the guitar case was open when the vase fell, the glass shards would be inside, not outside the case.
Oh,
What's your point, right? If the case was closed at the time the vase was knocked over, is that all?
No, think back to what Miss Andrews testified to. She said other than the vase, she didn't touch anything else.
Ugh. Yes, that's right. She did implicitly say she didn't touch the guitar case. But the whole matter with the guitar case was a dead end. The bright red guitar was found at the studio. It had no bearing on the case at all.
That may very well be. However, well, the empty guitar case does seem to have no relation to the case, doesn't it?
It seems there's no deeper meaning to the guitar case. Well, Mr. Wright, do you think we need to hear more details about the guitar case?
Yes, we do. It was obviously being used to carry something else. The empty guitar case. I believe it is a crucial piece of the puzzle.
I can't believe anyone would reach for straws like this, but it is you.
I can't believe I'm doing this either.
Alright, I'll follow along for now. Miss Andrews, please testify to the court about the guitar case.
yes, Your Honour. I don't remember too clearly because I was a bit dazed. I suppose I must have opened the guitar case after I knocked the vase over. It's not a big deal though, right? The case was empty after all. That's why I opened the case. Even I don't know.
Looks like this really wasn't a very important point. This wastefulness is such a This wastefulness is such a familiar feeling by now that it's almost comforting.
Anyway, I'll just go ahead and start the cross-examination.
Using any way to change the topic, a convenient escape for a weak man.
Edgeworth's really on it this case, huh? During your testimony just now, did you remember those events clearly in your mind?
Well, you see...
Are you sure you're the one who opened the guitar case?
She's waiting for someone to tell her if she should answer or not.
Sounds like a dependent side's taking over.
Well, Miss Andrews?
Yes, it was me.
So you opened the guitar case then?
Yes. Well, maybe.
Why did you open the guitar case?
Huh?
Mr. Karida's dead body was right there in front of you, wasn't it? I think the first thing you do is call for help, not open a guitar case.
As the witness has said multiple times when she found the dead body, she was dazed.
Maybe I was curious to know if the bright red guitar was alright or not. I thought maybe the criminal took it.
Why would she care about the bright red guitar?
But getting back on topic, it's not a big deal though, right? The case was empty.
Was it really empty? I was just wondering if maybe when you opened the case, the guitar was still inside. Phoenix, you fucking...
How long have you been a lawyer, Mr. Wright? Have a little professionalism. The bright red guitar was found at the studio. These trials would be over in half the time if you would just pay attention. Yes, pay more attention, Mr. Wright.
Sorry. Was that because you were shocked and dazed discovering the victim's body?
Yes, that's probably it.
I'm not going to get anywhere if I continue pressing her like this. The only way to make her talk is with evidence. I guess I should give that a try.
Come on, Phoenix, we can't afford to let up on her now.
I wasn't planning on letting up, but...
She's at her weakest now. This is our chance.
Yes, if we had a weapon to hit her with.
I'm sure a weapon is hiding somewhere in the court record waiting to be found.
Damn it! I'm stumped with this one. I honestly cannot think what this is supposed to be. I'm afraid I'm going to have to cheat with this one too. Oh. Okay. Very strange. Not sure how this makes sense, but... There's no way you were the one who opened the guitar case. Bears Karida's fingerprints. Okay, I get it now.
Why would you say that?
It's elementary, my dear. Because the only fingerprints on the guitar case were those of the victim.
Ah.
What is it, Miss Andrews?
You shouldn't assume I must have left prints because I touched the case.
If she went in dressed as the fucking samurai, she'd have gloves on. What do you mean?
What if I were to tell you I was wearing gloves at the time?
Yes, as you established earlier when you pointed out the Nickel Samurai wasn't on guard. You dumbass.
Why would you be wearing gloves at this time?
It was an early award ceremony. Of course I dressed up for the occasion. Yes, I remember. I'm almost sure I was wearing a pair of thin gloves.
Oh, I see. Well, Mr. Wright, seems the witness was wearing gloves at the scene of the crime.
You were wearing gloves? Isn't that a little strange?
Why is that strange? Do you have something that would prove I was not wearing gloves at the time?
Shit. The glass has your fingerprints on it. I have your proof right here. The wine glass.
The wine glass?
You left your fingerprints very clearly on this wine glass.
Ah.
Even
Even if you took your gloves off when you poured yourself this glass of juice, wouldn't you think it was just a little strange that you put your gloves back on just to open the guitar case? Ah! Replacement glasses.
Order! Order! Order!
Looks like you hit the nail on the head this time.
What do you mean?
I believe the guitar case plays a very important role here. But it's just an empty case. I wonder if it really was empty though.
The guitar, the bright red guitar was at the studio.
Phoenix, drop all your presumptions. What was in the guitar case was not the bright red guitar.
You don't mean there's a bright white guitar? Wait, that's... Oh my fucking god. Why are you selectively dumb, Phoenix?
I meant it would be unnatural for someone to do that. The witness was not wearing gloves despite the fact that on the case... Your Honor, this is obviously the defence's usual misdirection tactic at work.
The one that's proven how many people guilty now?
Steer the court towards an unrelated topic and lull us all into his misguided...
No, Your Honor. Please recall that Ms. Andrews had testified that the vase fell onto the guitar case, which means that the case was closed when the crime took place. However, it's wide open in this photo of the crime scene. I'm sure this guitar case has some relation to the murder.
If you're so sure, right, then I'm sure you can somehow substantiate your outrageous claim, correct? Please enlighten us as to why that guitar case has anything at all to do with this murder. Can you do that, Mr. Wright?
Well... Let's suppose for a second the bright red guitar was not the only thing that could have been in the case.
The bright red guitar not the only thing? You don't mean to suggest a bright black guitar?
Oh, thank you, Edgeworth.
So you intend to push your theory that the case was not empty, is that it, right?
I wouldn't say something I didn't intend to prove.
Deflate that head of yours, you haven't proven anything yet. Now then, let's have it. What was inside the case at the time of the murder? And why would something like that be inside a guitar case, let alone this one? Why, Mr. Wright, why?
Well, I just thought it might have been possible.
I have a suggestion. Why don't you put that in the void where your brain is supposed to be?
Crap.
Yes, and never bring it out again.
Can't a foolishly foolish fool get some love?
You still think you can prove your theory? Can you prove the guitar case was not empty at the time of the murder?
I don't fucking know. It's not the camera, but... Let me check these photos one more time. That's the Nickel Samurai. There's the crime scene. There we go. There was a costume in there.
This is a photograph.
Yes, but what's important is what's in the picture, Your Honour.
In the picture?
It doesn't take a genius to see what I mean. What I'm proposing is... inside the guitar case was the Nickel Samurai, the hero's very own costume.
What? Mr. Wright, explain yourself! Right, are you saying the witness opened the guitar case to take out a costume? What insane point would there to being doing something like that?
That insane point would be to wear the costume, of course. Miss Andrews put it on to hide her identity so she could make her escape. After all, you couldn't let anyone see you leave, could you, Miss Andrews?
I refuse to accept your theory. Do you have anything to support such a preposterous idea?
Just outside the door was an investigative photographer who was starving for a big scoop. And in the end, she managed to get his shot, correct?
You mean this photo? Order! Order! Looks like we've wanted into quite another mess again, haven't we?
Nice job, Phoenix.
Well, you know my strategy. Speak first, think later.
So the real murderer was hiding inside a costume. Wait 1 second, Your Honour. The Nickel Samurai's costume would have been Mr. Matt Onguard's. Why would something out of the defendant's be in the victim's room? Inside the guitar case of all places. True, that is a little baffling. Mr. Wright, the court would like to hear your thoughts. What was this Nickel Samurai costume doing in the guitar case?
It's a spare costume, right? Planted. Mr. Onguard did not take his costume off during the break period. In that case, the costume we're talking about was a spare one.
What? Then are you saying on the night of the murder there were 2 Nickel Samurai costumes at the Gatewater Hotel?
Yes, that's what I'm saying.
How do you explain the costume that was inside the guitar case? It would mean the victim himself had to have brought this spare to the ceremony on purpose. But why? The victim, Mr. Kurita, was the jamming ninja. Why would he have secretly brought the Nickel Samurai spare costume with him? What could the reason be for such a peculiar act?
And therein lies the sticking point.
What are you mumbling to yourself about now? Have you just been rambling all this time without any sense of inner monologue?
Huh? No, I just...
Mr. Wright, please explain yourself. Why do you think the victim had the Nickel Samurai spare costume?
Phoenix, are you sure you can explain this one? Think carefully before you answer, and then answer with gusto. I believe in you.
I'm thinking Andrews planted it, but... Alright, this is what I think. The reason the victim brought the Nickel Samurai spare costume to the hotel was... Okay, how the fuck do I answer using this? Seems like the Nickel Samurai is to confess something after the post-ceremony stage show. I wonder...
What's this?
On the night of the murder after the stage show, the Nickel Samurai was going to hold a special press conference.
A press conference?
One that On Guard didn't know about, by the way. Yes, the Nickel Samurai was supposed to confess something at this conference.
I heard about this as well. For once, you're not making something up right.
What struck me as strange was that Mr. On Guard himself said he had no idea he was supposed to be holding a press conference that night.
But how can that be?
The way I see it, it can only mean one thing. The conference was set up by none other than the victim, Mr. Juan Corrida himself.
The victim?
Yes. The spare Nickel Samurai costume was prepared for that very conference. Mr. Corrida was going to hold the press conference as the Nickel Samurai.
Who's going to dress up as a Nickel Samurai and hold a conference? But why would the victim do such a thing?
That's something I don't quite know yet. However, what I'm concerned with right now is what he intended to reveal at that conference.
The Nickel Samurai was going to confess something? And by confess, I'd wager he was going to reveal something about himself.
Which means that Juan Corrida, posing as the Nickel Samurai, was going to speak about Matt On Guard.
Yes, I guess that's what it would mean. But if that's the case, that's not a confession, that's public disclosure.
Huh.
Ms. Andrews?
I can see why you're all pros at what you do.
Pardon me?
Yes, just as you say, the press conference was set up by Juan.
Ms. Andrews, please offer us an explanation for this.
I was the one he has to help set up. And the person who prepared the second costume for him, that was also me.
You?
Juan had bet everything on the Jammin' Ninja this year. And if he lost the Grand Prix, he was going to make sure Matt was going down with him. That's what he thought anyway.
Was going to ruin him, huh?
It looked like somehow Juan had his hands on a secret so powerful it would destroy Matt's acting career had it been revealed.
What?
And you know what the secret of Mr. On Guard's is, Miss Andrews?
That's something only Juan knew. I don't know what it is.
Oh, I see.
I've probably been coming off quite suspicious to everyone, but that's to be expected. I've been trying to protect Matt after all.
Protect Mr. On Guard?
And yet again, another strange bit of truth comes to light, it seems. Miss Andrews, if you could, please tell us the truth about your behaviour.
Yes, Your Honour, I understand. From the moment I saw the crime scene, I had a feeling that Matt was the murderer. Matt had to kill Juan no matter what. And he didn't have an alibi for what he was doing at the time of the murder. My thoughts were confirmed by the evidence, but of course the button and the knife. But I'm Matt's manager, so I felt I had to protect him.
This does account for everything.
Well, I'm the logical type. We're finally seeing her true self. She's more nervous than a scared rabbit.
If the defence can find no fault with the testimony, I'm ready to make a ruling. Please keep that in mind as you cross-examine Mr. Wright.
Looks like somehow everything swung to the opposite end of the scale again. This just means I have to put my weight into this and turn her logic upside down. Would you say it was your intuition speaking to you?
Don't confuse my methods of reasoning with your own. If you want to prove that someone did something, you need three things. Three things? A motive, an opportunity to commit, and finally, decisive evidence. If you think these three things through, the answer becomes quite clear. You should have already known that, Phoenix.
They didn't teach us that in school, at least not from what I remember. You're a terrible student then.
May I continue now?
So would you say this need came from the press conference?
Yes. Do you know why Juan chose that hotel and event for that conference? Because that was when he could cause the most damage to the public's beloved Matt Vanguard.
And you knew of this plan, didn't you, Miss Andrews?
Yes, I was the one who set up the conference and prepared the costume.
But I'm sure Mr. Vanguard himself didn't know anything about the press conference.
Oh, really? Can you show me any proof he didn't know about the press conference?
Anyway, the important thing here is that this information is not in your testimony.
Yes, I agree. Miss Andrews, please correct your testimony, if you please.
Grasping at straws now, are you, Mr. Wright? I know what his motive was, but I don't have any way to prove I'm right.
Has Mr. Vanguard done something to hurt or betray you personally?
Why'd you ask?
You were the one who helped Mr. Carina with the press conference, and that event was supposed to bring down Mr. Vanguard, yet you still helped out.
The person on trial right now is Mr. Vanguard, right? What the witness...
Excuse me.
What the witness was thinking helping the victim with his plan is none of our concern. In any case, this means the defendant had a motive to kill.
Why do I keep doing this to myself? But didn't you already testify earlier Mr. Vanguard was taking a nap in his room? Are you telling me now that that too was a lie so you could cover for Mr. Vanguard?
I'm not telling you anything of the sort. When I went to get him for the show, he honestly was sleeping. However, as to whether he was sleeping the entire time, I cannot say. I was too busy setting up the stage at the time.
I keep trying, but I find no flaws in what Miss Andrews has said. I can't say the same for some people here in this courtroom, however.
The judge is glaring straight at me.
He's glaring at you, smart guy.
You can hardly call the knife decisive evidence. The fingerprints on the knife could very well be a camouflage.
Then what about the button?
The button?
It's clear from the crime scene the victim and his murderer fought, and during the fight the killer ripped the button from the Jamming Ninja's costume.
You're talking about this button, correct?
That button was found on the plates of Matt's Hackma, isn't that correct? I think that makes it very decisive evidence.
Looks like you're outfoxed again, Mr. Wright.
Anyway, the knife doesn't prove a thing. Please fix your testimony.
I can't stand the sight of a man who can't gracefully accept his defeat.
Thank goodness Mia can still look at me.
With an icy stare, yes.
Miss Andrews, for Mr. Wright's sake, please add this information to your testimony.
That button was torn off Juan during his fight with Matt.
And how do you know that?
When the ends of the threads of the button of the costume were matched up, they were found to fit together perfectly, or so I heard.
I've heard that before too. Why did Miss Andrews know about this case down to such a fine detail?
Don't look at me like that just because I'm prepared and you're not.
And I thought I'd had her this time for sure. If there's anything to trip her up on, it has to be here, but where and what? But what you really did was stab the guy in the back, didn't you? At the worst possible time.
Who's to say she really stabbed the guy in the back, as you put it?
This witness could have disclosed things about Mr. On Guard at any time. Why then would she wait until there was a large audience before doing so? The same reason Mr. Corrida planned such an elaborate conference. Ms. Andrews wanted to cause Mr. On Guard as much damage as she possibly could. The witness bears ill will toward the defendant.
This isn't the Phoenix Wright Wax Philosophical Power Hour. And please stop slandering the witness.
As I expected, Ms. Andrews' testimony seems pretty solid.
Really? Because to me it sounded a little wishy-washy.
Wishy-washy? I guess we'll see if I press a little more.
You should know this by now, but you'll need strong decisive evidence to make her talk.
Got it, Chief. I'm going to pin you down this time, Miss Andrews.
She wouldn't be the first by the sounds of it, Phoenix. Ayy.
If it was ripped off during the fight, then it shouldn't be so bloody, right? Or am I thinking about this the wrong way? Damn. Try this one. No, I'm stumped with that one. I don't know. Sorry, gonna have to look this one up too. Ah, okay. This is the victim's autopsy report. It clearly states the cause of death was strangulation via a scarf.
Strangulation?
The knife stab to the victim was done after the victim had already died.
What does that mean?
Let's examine the evidence. This button has the victim's blood on it, which would mean it was ripped off the costume when?
After the knife was stabbed into the victim.
Exactly, which means it's impossible the button was torn off during the victim's final struggle, because the victim was strangled to death in that fight.
Ah.
That's right, Miss Andrews. There's no way this button was ripped off during the struggle. This button was consciously pulled off the victim's already dead body.
Order! Order! What's the meaning of this, right? So what if the button was torn off the body after the victim had already died? What does that change?
Let me ask you one simple question, Mr. Edgeworth. Why was the button torn off? What purpose did that serve?
What purpose?
We now know the button was not turned off during the fight, so the murderer took the time and effort to purposely rip this from the victim's body. That would mean the murderer had something in mind, wouldn't it?
Mr. Wright, does this mean you know what the murderer wanted to do with this button? What was it?
In order to catch a person like her,
Fucking phone!